Are you ready to create a gorgeous personal brand logo for your business? You are in the right space because I'm going to share all of my top tips, and they are going to be useful for if you're going to be creating your logo all by yourself or if you want to hire designers. So be sure to stay tuned and catch all of those tips in this video so you're set up for success. For the best advice on creating a magnetic brand and a business that can fuel your dreams, be sure to like and subscribe this video and hit the bell so you're notified when I post a new video every Tuesday. Personal brands are totally my specialty. This is my favorite thing in the world to help people create. One of my favorite clients that I helped to create a strong personal brand, he had never served in any public office before and had dreamed of making a difference in his local government. And so he hired my team and I to build him a gorgeous personal brand, and it didn't end up helping him to win that race, darn it, because it was a very competitive race. However, his campaign was so successful and his brand was so strong that he had the state senators personally reach out to him and ask him to please run for the head of the Democratic Party of the state. And he ran for that with their backing and won, and now is making a major difference in his local community in a way that he could have never dreamed. And it all started with taking a really good person, adding a strong brand, and making it possible. Now, what makes a brand magnetic or not? There are three things that in my experience I see consistently making that brand absolutely magnetic to potential clients and customers and people that you want to work with and the opportunities that you want to have. Those three pieces are first, memorability. So first of all, is it simple, and does it leave an impression with people? Do they feel something when they connect with you or your brand? Second is clarity. Are they able to quickly understand who you are and what you offer and why it matters to them? And the third piece is, does it have soul? When I say soul, I really just mean heart to heart. Can they feel your heart in it? And can they feel that you are there to serve them, that you're showing up to fully serve? If that's true, then it has got soul. And those are the three pieces that make it really memorable and help your brand to stand out and be very magnetic. Now, I want to hear where you're at in the process of creating your personal brand. Have you started already? Are you just trying to take your personal brand to the next level? Let me know in the comments, because I want to cheer you on wherever you're at in the process, and we can connect about what's going to help and support you as you're growing your business. Here are my top tips on how to create a beautiful logo for your personal brand. The very first tip is to keep it simple. Honestly, the very best logos in the world are simple. If you look at some of the most well-known brands, such as Target, Amazon, Apple, even Microsoft, and we could go on and on and on. Look at their logos and start to notice how simple the typography is, how easy it is to read, as well as how simple any shapes are that they're bringing into their logos. Like, of course, Apple's apple is extremely simple. They didn't add a lot of embellishment, and all too often we get really stuck on needing to complicate our logo and have the logo tell the story of the whole brand, but really it's just telling a little piece of it, and then you can embellish your brand with other pieces. Your second tip is to be very wise about using any sort of logo mark. Now, when we're talking about a logo mark, that's just a simplified shape from your initial full logo. So for example, in Apple's case, they don't have their full logo on everything. You have your iPhone, it has a little apple on the back. That apple is their logo mark. And in lots of different brands, logo marks can be very effective and helpful. But in a personal brand, often they can hold the brand back more than they can be helpful, because it introduces a new shape or a new idea that now people have to memorize in association with your brand, which can make things really confusing. And so what I typically recommend is that if you are going to use a logo mark, make sure it really makes sense with your name, or it's very clear with what you do and helps put the dots together and doesn't add more complication. My third tip in building your logo for your personal brand is that it's a good idea to use your name whenever possible for your personal brand. And so the tricky thing can be that if you have a common name, it can be a little bit hard to find the .com domain for that name, and that can be really discouraging. But never fear, you can look at lots of creative ways of using your name. You can add in different endings to the domain. For example, like .live or .now or .today. Those are becoming so much more common and a lot easier to have people memorize and remember than just if you can't get the .com. I do get people who ask me if they can use like their middle name or their middle initial. If you do that, then make sure to incorporate that middle name or the middle initial into your logo in some way, because now you've just given people one more thing that they need to memorize and remember when they're thinking of you, so that they can quickly Google you or type in your domain address so that they can find you really easily. Your fourth tip is that you can use your signature for your logo for a personal brand, which is so fun because your signature is unique to you. And although sometimes they aren't as legible, they can be a really fun way to bring in your own style and vibe into your brand design. So what you can do is just take a Sharpie marker on a plain piece of paper and just draw out your signature a bunch of times and find your favorite one. You can scan it into the computer and either send it to a graphic designer or work with that design in Photoshop or Illustrator and find tutorials about how to extract that and then turn it into a graphic element that then you can use as you would any other graphic element of a design. So what I like to see with anybody who does this is that they have two versions of their logo, so that if they need a more legible version, then they have maybe a block font or something that's really clean to read, but then they can use that signature font on their photos as a watermark or on their other graphic design elements, because your signature will add this cool flair and style to whatever you add it to, which can be a really fun piece. So it kind of becomes a graphic, kind of an artistic asset, if you will, to your brand, and can be really, really fun to try in your logos. You can also try mixing your signature with having part of your name in the signature and part of it in a font. So for example, maybe your first name you do in your signature and make that a graphic element, and then you combine that with a sans serif font or a serif font that looks really nice for your last name. So there's lots of ways you can play with that, but that's a really fun zone to play in to just see if your logo could really work with your signature. All right, tip number 5 is to use a template. There are so many beautiful logo templates out there that it really surprises me how often people want to go and hire it out. I have a graphic design agency. Why am I telling you this? Because lots of times in the beginning, especially for a younger business, you don't have the money and resources to invest in an agency, and nor do I think that's necessarily appropriate timing. And so don't ever hesitate about using a logo template. Some of my favorite sites for logo templates is to go to creativemarket.com and look at their logo design templates and just find a style that you really like, pop in your words, and then you're done. I think even Canva has logo templates that are really nice. And then one of my favorite website platforms where our company's logo and design and website templates live is called wovoto.com, and you can go there and find a style that works for you and have a website that matches your logo, and it's all in a template form, so it's really easy for you to use. My 6th and final tip for creating your own gorgeous logo is to really do your homework. I love sending people to Pinterest to just do a bunch of searches on there and see what they like there and get a sense of your style. Otherwise, you're just kind of hoping that it's going to work out in graphic design. And the example that I love to share for that is that if you were going to go get a massive change with your hairstyle and you went into the hairdresser and you just said, I don't know, just give me something that looks fun and looks fabulous, then they might scratch their heads a little bit, right? And you might walk out of there with a hairstyle that is not fun or fabulous to you at all. But if you walk into the hairdresser with a photo of the hair color that you want or the shape and the cut, you're a lot more likely to get something that you want. And so the more visual information you can gather for yourself, if you're making it yourself, or for a graphic designer, the more likely you're going to be that you're going to get something that you really, really love, which does not mean copying. It just means that you get at least the style, genre, and your inspiration down, so that then it's a little bit easier for yourself and your graphic designer to really figure out, well, what feels more like you, inspired by these selections. Now, if you don't know what your style is and you're looking for a deeper dive, I highly recommend taking advantage of my Soul Brand Camp workshop. It is a phenomenal proprietary process that will help you to get laser focused on exactly what your style is, who your target market is, and how to talk to them, and how to pull all of these pieces together into a really strong, cohesive brand. It's a really strong piece to support you whether you're building your own website and brand, or if you're building your brand with somebody else and a graphic designer. So be sure to take advantage of that and check that out at the link below. Ring the bell, and you'll be notified every Tuesday when I release a new video. And be sure that you're a part of the Soul Branding and Business Facebook group, where we can help you have the support that you need and the inspiration to take your dream further.